Boom, 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 boom. Okay. All right, today on the live stream, what I'm going to show you how to do is how to fix this major issue with the Radiomaster GX12. What is this major issue? Well, the major issue is, and it's happened to me more than twice, is you'll turn it on and it'll say SD card error, and then after you push through that, like hit the select button or the return scroll wheel button on that, it asks you to go into calibration. So it completely loses everything in memory, or that normally is stored on an SD card on all the other radios. This one does not have an SD card. So most of the radios, when you take off the back and you look in the battery compartment, normally what you will see is a SD card slot somewhere in there, but you can see there's not one in there. And the reason for that is they moved to a different type of memory on the GX12 that's built into the PC board itself. And unfortunately, when you run into this error, I was flying one time. So I was flying and I come back and I try to disarm, and the disarm doesn't work. Nothing works. None of the switches work. Try to power it off. Won't let you power it off. Like, it's locked up hard. And the way that I had to fix it and have it lose connection, because it's still connected to your drone or your whatever you're flying, is I had to take the battery cover off, pull the plug on the battery, and that was the only way I could do it. Well, this has been happening for quite a while now. And so I finally decided I need to send an email to Radiomaster support and find out like what is going on. And that is where we're going next. So let's pull up my email and let's find Radiomaster. And I'm going to go through the whole thing on here, and then I'll edit it down to a video that's just showing how to fix this. Let's see, there it is. Is that it? No, that's not it. So I had asked Joshua Bardwell in one of the live streams for a, let's see, I think Creators Contest GX12 issues. There it is. Okay, so I'd asked Bardwell about it. He thought it used an SD card. Of course, the all-knowing radio oracle known as It's Blunty corrected him on that, and he kind of didn't have any idea. Well, here's the fix. So it's kind of involved, which is why I'm doing a video on this, because you kind of need to know. So They discovered the issues. Restarting the remote control or removing the USB caused the radio and the YML5s of the models to be damaged. See, it's not just that, because I didn't have a USB plugged into it. Unless it's saying charging, which I charge it with the power off. It's not, it shouldn't have any files on there, like as a disk or anything, because it's just charging the battery. Anyway, now Edge TX has found a solution. So it's not a Radiomaster problem, it's actually an Edge TX problem. This is indeed a problem caused by the software program. The root cause of the problem was found and fixed only in early March for the NAND flash operation code that might cause the loss of setting data. Edge TX has changed the code and released the firmware versions which completely solve these problems. Recently, it was successively, I think they mean successfully released, 2.11.0, .1, .2, and .3 official firmware versions, further improving stability and reliability. It was found that the same problem still occurred in 2.11.3. Last month, Edge TX finally perfectly solved this problem and included a new update in their nightly firmware. You can follow the steps below to update your firmware to make the GX12 work stably. Cool. All right, so let's go look at the code. So this is the firmware that fixes the hard to reproduce issues when several tasks try to access I2C resources at the same time. The most well-known example is GX12 port expander, sometimes locking, but it covers more. Okay, so this is probably the nightly build, so they have multiple fixes in here. Let's see. Where is the download? This is where, so it's been merged in. Let's see. It's I2C or I squared C, which is basically like a bus that the chip talks to various peripherals on. Given that the GX12 switch freeze issue was first reported on 2.11, I think it should be considered. So where do I get the actual download for this? Let's go to code. Edge TX 2.11.4. Okay, what did it say before? It said, okay, so there's occasionally 2.11.3, but they have 2.11.4, which isn't mentioned here. So this is a newer version. So let's download 2.11.4, which should hopefully have the, we'll need the buddy to create the image. Oh, come on, where's the download? Latest build. Just click on it. There we go. Okay. We'll get the MSI because I'm on my Windows computer today. Pull this over here. Yo, great Scott. Thanks for joining, brother. So the Edge TX software was not originally meant to run on SPI memory, I think it's called. So it's a different type of memory format than an SD card, and it's caused my GX12 to lock up multiple times, which is never a good thing because when it locks up, it loses its whole config. Not only does it lose its whole config, but it loses the ability to power off while it's still connected to your drone. So, and it usually happens when you throw the disarm switch. So luckily it happens while you're landing, which is when it's happened to me, but it's still not very cool because you can't turn your drone off until you have to pull your battery from the radio to get it to shut down. And then I'm looking for this version of Edge TX. Where's the latest version? How do I? Oh, here it is. 2.11.4 last month. Looks like we got to get the zip file for Windows on this one. Okay. Yeah, it's bad, dude. It is like it's a pucker factor on a scale of 1 to 10. It's 11. You're just like, what do I do? What do I do? So you got to kind of think fast in a highly stressful situation where the propellers are still spinning and you can't disarm. And you have to somehow get your drone unplugged. It's bad. Because when it comes back up, it wants to recalibrate and it's lost all the config files. It's lost your models. And in mine, it becomes a mode 1 radio where the right stick is your throttle and your left stick, it's the TAER instead of the AETR setup, which is what I use. And most people nowadays seem to use. All right. So you know it's bad when they send me, when Radiomaster support, they send me this email and it's got, all these how-tos in it. And then it's got a link to a video on how to actually do this. The link is broken here, but I think it works if I do this. And then when you go here, you see that it's an unlisted video.
In this video, I can show you how to update the Radiomaster.
Yeah, see, it says unlisted right there. Unlisted video.
The RC3. First, you can remove the battery, the SG.
I haven't watched this yet. Oh, yeah. So this is how you boot it up into this. So this is how you boot a GX12 into bootloader mode. Where'd I put it? Where'd I put it? Right here. Okay. So let's just watch it. All right, let's plug in the USB
into the TF mode. You must push the SG button, not release, and push the power button.
All right, we've run into my constant issue of never having enough USB-C ports around. I need to add some USB-C to this computer. Let's see if either of these work. I have this card in the back of it that quit working a while back. Let's see if it works. I'll try plugging it into my phone. Okay. Obviously it works. So maybe this works now. Let's try it. I'm plugging this in here like he's showing on the video. Man, dude, your radio's dirty.
On the computer, you can right click the computer icon into the device manager.
Wow, his computer icon looks quite a bit different than mine. Mine doesn't look like that. I think he means device manager. Let's see if we see it plugged in. USB mass storage device. I think that's it. Let's see what he says next.
In device manager, you can see the USB device has
Oh, he already put it in a bootloader. How'd you put it in bootloader, dude? I forgot.
It's the plug the USB.
Yeah, I did that. Okay. Now you hold down
the TF mode. You must push the SG button.
SG.
Release and push the power button. It's into the
All right.
DF mode. No. On the computer
Doesn't want to boot up. Doesn't want to boot up because it's plugged in. SG. Dude. All right, so this is one of those things where nothing ever works like they show you. Maybe you have to do this before you plug it in. Let's try that. Holding down SG. Yeah. All right, let's go back to the instructions. It's different than that of other controllers. When the device is powered off, insert the USB. Okay, that's what I did. Insert the USB and hold down the SG button without releasing it, then press the power button. Okay, I heard a beep. But it's not like, it doesn't feel like it's turning on. Then press the power button. It will automatically enter DFU mode. You can directly use Edge TX Buddy to update the firmware. Yeah, but shouldn't I see it? Like, let's try. Yeah, I don't see it there. I would think I would see it here. Oh, there it is. Sweet. So that did work. Cool. It just doesn't show you anything. So you need to know whenever you put it into bootloader mode, you'll find it in Device Manager, but you will not see anything on the screen. All you see is the red power button lit up, and that's it. All right, so let's see. Do I have Buddy? I do not. So let's go download Edge TX Buddy. Hey, buddy. I need you. Ooh, another one of these Chrome applications. I like it. I know some people don't. Yeah, let's do the nightly GX12 nightly. We'll save it to my documents. Start flashing. Whoa, this is crazy. All through a web browser. It's flashing my radio right now. Hopefully going to fix this forever, and then I won't have to worry about losing my config, not being able to fly. I always bring 2 radios now because this one is not reliable. It's failed on me too many times. And the problem is this one is the one I need for my 900 megahertz radios, because the Pocket doesn't work on that. And the Pocket has a max of 100 milliwatts, whereas the this one is like 1 watt. So 10 times the power. All right, let's see what happens. Let's power it up. Okay, so to even get past this screen, if it's in mode 1, see, I live in mode 2 world where this is my throttle. Well, in mode 1, this is your throttle. So you have to pull that other dingleberry down to get it to even come on. And then it wants all the switches pushed back. So you've got to do that before it'll even show you what's on here. And now, now I have to go through and set this all up again. And that's just no fun, man. It's no fun. It does look like there's a new feature, though. Did we always have a clock at the bottom of the screen? I don't remember seeing that before. That's kind of cool. It's got the wrong time, but hey. So anyway, this new software is supposed to fix how it handles the storage. Now, unfortunately, I never saved a backup of my models from this. So I will have to go through and fully do that again. But let's read the rest of this. I think there's more I might need to do. Edge TX Buddy Online Flash Tools. So I use that. When you update the firmware, you need to use Zadig or Impulse RC driver fixer to replace the driver for the bootloader. Otherwise, Edge TX Buddy will not be able to recognize the STM32 chip. So obviously I've already done that because it connected, but if you don't have it connecting and you don't see it in your devices, that's where you would go and download the Zadig or Impulse RC driver fixer. And then they have a guide on how to use that. In addition, we have recorded a video on how to do it, which we watched that. And that's it. There is this that I didn't read before. Additionally, before the product was manufactured, these issues had not been encountered. Moreover, both EdgeTX and we did not realize that the software's underlying processing logic and format for the 512 megabyte NAND flash were different from those of SD cards. However, the previous software code was designed to handle SD cards. Now we have specially written new code tailored for NAND flash to ensure stability, but it needs to be formatted as FAT instead of FAT32. You can copy all the original contents in the built-in memory, then reformat the built-in memory slowly into FAT with a unit size of 16K. Make sure to uncheck the option for quick formatting. Okay, so I didn't fix that. So I think I should do that as well. So to do that, I believe I need to put it into USB mode, which you do by plugging in your USB. And then it comes up with the following screen: USB joystick, storage, or serial. And I'm going to pick storage. And then you hear the ding dong. And so now it sees it as a drive. And it's the L drive. Let me put this on screen so you can see it. And so it's showing it as the L drive. And now I'm going to format it. This is going to get rid of everything. And then I'll probably have to do the bootloader mode again and reinstall. That's fine. But you've got to, I want to make sure that this is exactly like they recommend. So we're going to this right here. And then see what it says again. It says fat unit size 16K. All right, so for fat, and see default is 32K. We're going to change that to 16K. And then click start. Okay. And now it's going to slowly format this GX12. Now, the reason I got the GX12 is it's the only radio out there that I know of that has both bands and supports the ELRS. What is that called? Starts with a G. Hey, 8-bit. What's up, dude? Dang it, what is that called? Anyway, there is a mode that you get with ELRS that you only get with this GX12, where it will do, you can have a receiver, like, and other, what's great about ELRS is it's open source, so anyone can write from a hardware or software level. On the software side, EdgeTX supports all kinds of things. And then on the hardware side, you can actually, anyone can go build a radio to the spec, a receiver or a transmitter or both. And it's almost had it. What's it called? Killing me. I hate my brain. ELRS. G something. Load with multiple frequencies. Diversity, Gemini X. Yes, that's what it's called. So the GX12, okay, don't judge. I think the reason they call this a GX12 is, drum roll, Gemini X. GX12. It's got 12 channels. So this GX12 is the Gemini X 12-band radio, which means not only is it dual band, but even if you're on the same band, they make ELRS receivers that are dual receive. So you can have two different antennas, one 90 degrees to the other. So 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees. And if you know your antennas, you know that the ends of your dipole are nulls, meaning there's no RF shooting out the ends of the wires of that little piece of T-looking dipole wire that you put and usually to your arm of your drone or something, right? And so you've got the ability to not have nulls anymore, because it's going to have these two independent receivers that it's gonna pull in, and this is on the receive side. So this is a Gemini on the receive for single band and feature, where now whenever you fly your drone and now the null is pointed directly at you, there's another one here that's not quite pointing straight at you, right? So it's pointing over there. You know, this one's pointing at your radio antennas of your transmitter. And if you only have one antenna and that null points towards your antenna on your transmitter, it loses its ears for a second. There's no signal coming from you. And then usually you're flying around, and so that antenna is moving, and you're not going to miss too much, but you will miss it. Whereas if you have a dual receiver, same band, 2.4 gigahertz or 900 megahertz, but you put your antennas in 90-degree orientation, where they're 90 degrees off from each other, as you fly around, you're gonna move so that at some point you're gonna have the null of either one. But see, when you have the null of this one, you've got the full broadside of the other antenna pointed at you. So it's gonna receive everything and transmit, by the way, because the receivers on our ELRS receivers have a low power transmitter too. Whenever you say, whenever you have the voice turned on your GX12 or anything else like that, it'll say telemetry lost, telemetry recovered, telemetry lost, telemetry recovered. And the reason you'll hear that and not lose control of your aircraft is because telemetry is the transmit from your little receiver that's up there on your plane or your quad, sending data back to you about all the statistical stuff, like how much dBm reception power am I receiving right now. It's constantly updating that in the data stream on the way back. It's sending, what the power is of the transmitter that it's sending you that data. It's sending the gyroscope data. It's sending out all kinds of data. You can put in there to send your GPS, all kinds of stuff. So, Great Scott, Pocket is 250 milliwatts unless Europe listen before transmit version. Huh, that's cool. I thought it was 100. 250 is not bad, but it's still not a full watt like the GX12. So, and this is still over here trying to format slowly as a fat 16 kilobyte. Interesting though, it still shows Model 1 and the screen on here. So whatever it's doing to format that, apparently it loads that into memory to display your models. So interesting dynamic there of how it can lose all of its config files and still show the screen. Because I'm definitely formatting that sucker right now. I guess. I don't remember at L drive. 480 megabytes. I mean, that's close enough to 512. That's what they say the NAND flash is 512 megabytes. So usually you're not going to see the actual amount that they say for various reasons. All right, so the other thing so that was the receiver side. The transmit side of a Gemini is also really cool because even if you have a single band Gemini configuration, that's really great because remember in 2.4 gigahertz, we're using the same band as Wi-Fi. The reason all these bands get used is because the FCC, at least here in the US, the FCC regulates and owns all the frequencies. So it's just kind of crazy, right? Like, how can you own a radio transmission wave? But if they didn't, it would be just crazy. It'd be total insane craziness where nothing would work right because I'll give you an example. So I'm a ham radio operator. Ooh, it beeped. Not sure. Probably because it's been on without being touched for a while. Yeah. I'll touch you. Okay, so I was on top of Mount Scott. If you've ever been to Oklahoma, um, through, okay, so if you're a foodie, and you're ever driving through Oklahoma, you need to stop at this place where they make the best um, Longhorn beef burgers I've ever had. Um, Longhorn beef burgers, Oklahoma, near Mount Scott. So since my accident, I can't remember a bunch of stuff. So I have to like sometimes the Mears Store and Restaurant. Yes. Yes. So Mears, Oklahoma. Look at that. They serve a massive, like massive um, burger. And they serve it on basically like a gold pan. And it's so much fun. It's built into the side of a mountain too. So it's got this really eclectic way of getting in, looking around. Let's see, how do I navigate through this? Look at that, man. And the bread is made fresh just down the hill from them at a local bakery. Um, let's see. And it's been there forever. Trying to find some of the pictures from outside. Anyway, I was up at let's go to maps. Yes, you have a mountain. Okay, your your challenge, if you choose to accept it, Scott, is to drive from Tulsa to Mears, Oklahoma, and then drive up Mount Scott. It's worth it. It's a destination, and it's one of those places. Like, I mean, look at this, dude. This is out in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing nearby. The Wichita Mountain Wildlife Refuge is the closest thing. Lawton is way over here. There's nothing nearby. But if you go here on a Saturday, and it's winter, so they have winter hours, so don't get there too late, because I've been there too late before, and they close when the traffic gets low enough and they just don't want to be there. They don't want to be there anymore, I guess. I don't know. Um, let's see if they have a drive-by picture. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. Mears Store and Restaurant. And look at that. It doesn't look like anything. And you come here on a Saturday, this whole parking lot over here, like back in the back there, that whole thing, there's cars parked along the road here. There's cars parked up the road over here along the side. There's whole motorcycle, like 50 motorcycles will show up. There's this little entrance right here, and if you get there on a Saturday, there's going to be a line of people either going this way or that way. It's you're going to wait. So get there early if you want for lunch, like 11. And yo, Raya, hey man, it's good to see you, ma'am. It's good to see you. We're talking about this Mears and the Mears burger, amaze balls, and it's only 3 hours away from Great Scott, and it's on his bucket list now because it is somewhere. It's one of those destinations you would never know unless someone tells you about it or you're just that big into reading. Because look at this, man. It's like in the middle of nowhere. It's just like, let's see if we can see Tulsa on here. I need to keep going. Where's Tulsa? Isn't Tulsa like way up northeast somewhere? Dang, there's Tulsa. Holy cow, dude. That is a drive, but look, it's on 44 the whole way. So it's not hard driving. Going through Oklahoma City is going to suck a little, but once you get past there, it should be pretty open until you get to Mears. And then the other thing you can do is you can go up Mount Scott, your namesake. So Mount Scott is right here. And you can see there's like a ring around. I don't know, it's very light, but there's a circular drive that takes you up the side of Mount Scott. And let's see what they have for pictures here. And it's just a flat parking lot on top, but from the top of it, man, you can see, because this is like one of the tallest points in Oklahoma. And it's really beautiful. I've been up there so many times doing ham radio. And then you can see that big wind farm over there. And so the reason we got on this, though, is because, let's see, where do we drive off on this? Let's get going down the hill. I think it's over here. Yep, there it is. So I was up here operating my ham radio, doing something called Summits on the Air. And all of a sudden, like, the whole band was wiped out. I could not hear anything. And I'm like, what is going on? And I had gone just over the side of the mountain, so I couldn't see the parking lot. And if you like shelf roads, this is going to be a fun road for you, because it's a, like, that's it, man. There's like this little bitty thing here. You can pull over here if you want and get out. But it's just cut right into the side of this big rock mountain. And yeah, dude, you're king of the mountain. Mount Scott, dude. You got to go there just for that, right? If you don't have your ham license, get your ham license and get up there and get some soda Summits on the Air contacts. I've been up on top of most of these summits around here. And it gives you, so if you ever get your ham format's complete, cool. Well, what's nice is that formatted it, and it didn't erase my model, but this is like the model from the beginning that it comes up with. So I'm going to have to go in here and reprogram this whole thing to be a mode 2 radio and everything. I don't think I'm going to video that, just because I don't know how to do it off the top of my head. And I'll have to, I'll have to figure it out, and it could be painful for people to watch me. It's probably painful enough to watch this, but I'll go through and edit it into a how-to on how to do this and successfully upgrade your GX12. Because, so Raya, this GX12, if you ever get one of these so that you can do like long range stuff with 900 megahertz and get Gemini for dual transmitter frequencies, either same band or dual band, it out of the box they ship it with radio not Express LRS, what's it called, Edge TX software that was written for SD cards. And this has NAND flash, which is a completely different type of flash than SD cards. And it's so incompatible that it will run for a random amount of time. And then one day you'll be flying and you'll come in and, oh, I'm going to land. I'm disarming. I'm disarming. What? Why is it not disarming? It's still, the meat props are still chopping. What? it won't let me turn it off. Like how this let me just turn it off like that. It wouldn't let me do that. I had to pull the battery cover, pull the plug of the battery to get it to disconnect and reset. And then I could go over and try to either it disarmed or it didn't, and I still was able to get to it and pull the battery. Scary, scary stuff. Cool. Bebo178. Welcome from the UK. So yeah, this is very, man, dude, if you're looking at this, because I fly a lot of long range and I'm getting ready. So I was flying this on analog, but I used the TBS HD only flight stack, and it does not have an OSD chip. And so instead of trying to figure all that out, I'm just putting one of my O3s that I had laying around, not in use, on a crashed toothpick that I used to own. But you'll notice that these antennas here are quite a bit longer than the 2.4 gig. So this is a 900 megahertz ELRS receiver, and it's a Gemini dual receiver. So it's got two receivers, and that is one of the features you get with the GX12 is you get the ability to have two independent transmission signals on two different parts of the same band. So one may be at like 916 and the other's at 915 or 868 if you're in the UK or whatever the frequency is. I believe it's 868. But it sends the same data over two different frequencies. So if there is something in the area that's a source of noise, like, let's get back to this. Okay, so Mount Scott, Great Scott's own personal mountain that he didn't know he had in Oklahoma. There you are, Mount Scott. So Mount Scott, I'm up on top of it, trying to get contacts on ham radio, and I've got headphones on too. So I'm listening, and all of a sudden I hear it sounds like a lightning storm has entered the RF conversation. And I'm like, what is going on? Like you couldn't hear anything. Like there's a signal meter on there, and the signal meter was pegged, saying that the front end of the radio where it's receiving all the frequencies is just completely overdriven. It's like someone coming up to both ears and yelling. Two different people or five different people coming up to both sides of your head and yelling. You're not gonna receive any intelligent information when it's like that. So took my headphones off, stood up, went and looked over, and sure enough, there was a Jeep club that had decided to go to Mount Scott and drive to the top. And so as they all came in and parked on the parking lot, you could hear all these engines revving, and a lot of Jeeps in the US, especially, Bebo, since you're UK, they're project cars. So they're projects where people love to put things in their Jeeps, from larger engines to older engines to diesels to just all these different home brewed projects. And some of them are trying to get the most horsepower at the lowest RPM, so they can use the highest or lowest gear ratios to barely turn their tires, so they can just crawl up the side of a vertical rock with aired down grippy tires. And so thinking about RF attenuation in those distributor caps is like the last thing on their mind. And so that's what I was hearing was all these distributor caps where you've got these electrical miniature lightning connections. Literally, it's like lightning. It's a spark gap And if you read about the history of radios, that is where what the first radios used was basically a spark plug. A spark gap transmitter sends RF out by using a spark. That's it. And so when you've got dozens of Jeeps coming up around you and they're putting out all this RFI or radio frequency interference, that's one of the ways you could lose a drone. You know, you may be out in the middle of nowhere like I was, and you lose your drone because a Jeep group decides to come near you with all of their RF interference engine electronics that are just blowing out the eardrums of your receiver. And now all of a sudden, and that's the other thing about sparks, is they're high bandwidth. That's why, like an electromagnetic pulse, it's a big explosion, right? And it creates a wideband disruption of all of the electronics. It's pushing power, because when you think about it, a spark is power. An electromagnetic wave is power. You can actually measure it. Even your lights. So if you go somewhere where there's fluorescent lights, if you take an oscilloscope and touch your hand to the probe, the closer you move your hand up to the fluorescent lights, you'll start to see the waves. If you turn the oscilloscope so it's super sensitive, you'll start to see the waves of that fluorescent light bulb that it's pushing into your body. And so there's electromagnetic waves everywhere. I mean, that's why you don't want to live underneath high tension power lines, because yuck, that's a lot of electrical energy that is just pushed into your body every day and you don't even realize it. So that's a tip for why you would want to use a diversity antenna, diversity receivers, diversity transmitter like the GX12 to get you on more than one frequency or two frequencies within the same band. So Bebo 178. Yeah, I currently have dual diversity 2.4 gigahertz on my quad, so two antennas. Gemini looks good. The form factor of GX12 looks better than the Boxer. I agree. That's why I bought it. I used to have the Boxer. I sold my Boxer and bought the GX12, and I do like it. I like it until it started failing on me, and then I finally sent that email to Radiomaster. They sent me this email that said what to do to fix it. I just went through all the steps to fix it. It should be good to go. I'm going to reprogram it, and then I'm going to save off my configuration for my models. I want to, normally I just make one model, and it's an ELRS model. But with long range, this is another thing you kind of have to take into consideration. So when you go long range, you're not doing freestyle, and hopefully you're not doing freestyle at long range. For me, I've got these 14,000 foot mountains, the Rocky Mountains right behind me, and the signal you're trying to get there is more important than how many signals you get there as fast as possible. And so that's where the hertz that you see configured on your ELRS Lua script, when you go into your radio and you define what speed you want to send your commands to the receiver. And when I'm doing long range, I do 50, the lowest. Actually, I believe there's a way to do 25 on 900 megahertz, but on 2.4 gig, I know the lowest is 50. And so that's what I do. I do 50. And I'm going to learn some new stuff with this 900 megahertz. And then the Gemini, you're also able to do either multiple frequencies on the same band or multiple frequencies cross band. And so cross band means you're sending the same signals, command signals, over 2.4 and low band or 900 megahertz. And And so long range, 900 megahertz is your friend generally. But if you can send more commands over more frequencies, you're going to be more likely to get them there, especially if you have any kind of RFI nearby, like a Jeep Club. So, so I'll do another video on how this went. I'll use it. I'll put my configs on there. And so I'll set up one that's for like freestyling, which will be for freestyling. I'm not a great freestyler. Miss Raya Kim 2324 is a better freestyler than me. But I like the cinematic stuff, so I'm not really trying to do anything too crazy with. I mean, I'm trying to learn the Matty flips. I'm trying to learn all the freestyle moves, but not like I'm not in the simulator every day trying it and trying to get better and better and better and better and flying at night all the time, like some people in the snow. Um, which I think is awesome. I like those videos. Um, so I'll have one that's like it doesn't hurt to set up a transmitter for dual band. So I'll set up one profile, and that's the other thing. I'm not sure if I can set that up for per per model, because some models, if I set up a model as like a long range model, and then I set up another one as a freestyle, that's not where that's not where you set up your profile for the transmit. You go into the Lua script. Let's see. Interference. I'm a pilot and fly a Piper PA-28. Wow, that is so cool. I want to see what that looks like. Let's take a look at what a Piper PA-28. Whoa, it's a low wing. Dude, that is no joke, man. Piper PA-28 Cherokee. That is a nice plane, man. Wow. That is cool. Look at that. Dude, that's amazing. Some interference from the engine on the radio, although it has suppression built into the spark leads, but it doesn't prevent it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about, man. Like there's definitely 100% things out there that you don't know about or think about that can cause major interference, EMI, electromagnetic interference, and knock your stuff out of the air. And so Gemini, if you end up being in a place like that, Gemini lets you still operate like that. I'll give an example. I've got it here at my house. So Christmas a year ago, I had a drone that I've since, I think I traded or something. I don't know. I don't have it anymore. But I had a drone that I put out on the front driveway at night during Christmas. Everyone's Christmas lights were out. That's important because I'd flown it earlier that day with no problem at all. That night, everyone had their Christmas lights turned on. Go to connect to it. I can't get it to bind. It won't even bind. Well, why can't it bind? Because all the Christmas lights were causing interference. And for whatever reason, there was so much interference that I couldn't even get it to bind. I could get it to bind inside my house, which if you think about it, you've got like the aluminum vapor barrier that they put up on the insulation on the outside walls of US made houses. That provides some of a what do you call it? Some man. One of these days, my brain will hopefully be back to normal. Faraday cage. Faraday cage. It's not really a Faraday cage because if it really was, you wouldn't be able to use your cell phone inside the house. But a lot of cell phones don't work as well inside houses because of that. Because of Sometimes they put aluminum over your insulation in your attic to provide a reflective surface to keep the heat. It's usually in southern states. We had that in Texas when we lived there, where they put, we didn't put it. I paid my son and his buddy to get up in the attic in the heat and go put some of this reflective, but it's basically aluminum foil. Just think of it as aluminum foil. The strobe lights on the wing also are quite bad for radio interference. Makes a noticeable squeaking noise in my headset. Yeah, yeah. Any, if you think about it, an old school light that's not LED, that uses a filament, and I would imagine a Piper PA28. I mean, just looking at the controls, it 100%, or let's say 90% chance, right? 90% chance that it did not come with any LED lights installed. If they are, they would have to be approved by the Aviation Administration for that region, if not the FAA, if it's here. And yeah, xenon. So xenon is a plasma, and that's like a little, like literally neon bulbs, which xenon is a noble gas near neon. So xenon is just basically a different color than the neons that you see with the lights. And what do they have in common? They have a ballast that generates a high voltage frequency for exciting the gas and stripping electrons. And so that's 100% a source of RFI. Back when there was like the VHS Betamax contest of who's going to win, is it going to be plasma TVs or LED TVs? You know, the plasmas were usually more expensive, but the problem with the plasmas is they would go out because they were so hot, and what kills electronics? Heat. And then you've got the RFI that they created. You could always tell as a ham radio operator when you had your mobile rig in your vehicle and you go drive next to someone's house that has their plasma on, you could hear it. I've been next to a sometimes the xenon bulbs that people put, the high intensity bulbs that they put in their cars. I had a Suburban pull up next to me one time, and all of a sudden I couldn't use my VHF, UHF radio anymore because they had those blue xenon bulbs that are basically creating a plasma to create that high intensity beam, and that is creating a massive amount of RFI. So yeah, big deal, big problem, something you might not think about, but keep in mind, especially if you're up in a mountainous area where people go and take their Jeep clubs driving, because you're off on the side on a lookout and you're flying your drone. Have your, this might be something to talk with your official observer, because we all have one of those, right? Have your official observer. BOLO, be on the lookout for any kind of old cars, old Jeeps, and just anything with driving neon sign of some kind that's lit. And all of these things could knock your drone offline, because it's not necessarily what's in the air, it's how close it is to your transmitter or your receiver. So if they drive right by your transmitter and you're trying to transmit control signals, and that's like me yelling at you, hey, get out of the way, there's a truck coming, but you're not facing the truck. If you can't understand me because there's too much noise from a crowd yelling around me that just walks up, that's the same thing. And if you don't know what I'm telling you to do, you might freak out and crash. And that's what you don't want to have happen to your drone. So, definitely for long range, Gemini is the way to go. Dual band, dual receiver, or even the way Radiomaster sells a dual band quad receiver. So it's dual 2.4, dual 900 megahertz. And you know what? If you're either building or buying a long range drone, it's generally going to have the space and weight that capabilities that you don't have to worry about a larger receiver and more antennas. And anything over 5 inches, it's not noticeable. Like, to me, it's not noticeable, especially for long range. Your biggest thing with long range is you want to have it just efficient. You're looking for either biprops because they're the most efficient. You're looking for 6 to 10 inch. 10 inch, you're getting more into lifting capacity, not so much long range. But I had a 10 inch and I loved it for flying in the mountains, because in the mountains, there's the mountains make their own weather, and they're making their own weather means wind. And I mean, like 60-mile-an-hour wind, 90-mile-an-hour wind are possible at the tops of these mountains. And I don't want to lose a drone because it gets blown. I get to the top of a mountain and all of a sudden there's this massive wind that is pushing so hard I can't get it back. I didn't want that. So that's what I used the 10-inch for. Was I had full knowledge that I was not going to lose it, and never did. It was I'd say I never did. I did lose it one time, but that wasn't its fault, and it wasn't wind. It was because I got disoriented and flew behind a rock mountain, breaking my line of sight, and it went down. But because I put an Apple AirTag on it, which is another long range tip that I would give for long range, is put an Apple AirTag on it, because a week later I get a ping that my AirTag's been found, and I go drive out there and it's in a field and it's fairly close to a road, and that's why I got picked up. Someone drove by with an iPhone on their dash or whatever, and it saw the the Bluetooth of that AirTag, and reported it up through the Apple network back to me. Hey, your AirTag's been found, and recovered it. Now, it had broken one motor completely off. It's still out there somewhere. I went out there and picked it up, and then I came back home, got a friend of mine, my neighbor, and we went out there with my metal detector looking for the motor. And we went from where we found it to where we found one of the broken arms with the motor on it. But then there was another broken motor, and it was just gone. And we searched everywhere, couldn't find it. And dude, those motors are not cheap. It was the T-Motor 3015, I think. So big honking motor, lots of power. Or actually, it was an Axis Flying 3015, because I replaced two of those two with two. There is an ELRS finder. The problem with, the battery is the problem. We never found the battery either. So that 10-inch, it ejected the 5,000 milliamp hour 6S battery. Never found it. So another thing I've done since then is there's a little battery PCB board called a GPS saver, I think. It's not that expensive, and it's one of those little packet cells that's very, very small, and it sits in between your GPS and your stack, and it does a couple of things. For one, it can power up your GPS so that your GPS can be getting satellites while you're waiting to get ready. So there's a little switch that you can turn it on and power up your GPS so it starts downloading the GPS map data and then locking on to satellites without you sitting there burning your battery pack as you're waiting for it to do that. The other thing is ELRS in the new version, I think it's 4.0. And hey, what's up, metal family? Talking about long range right now. And one of the kind of tips I'm throwing out there from lessons learned is there's a thing called the GPS saver. It lets you put a little battery in between your flight controller and your GPS so that you can turn on your GPS receiver without having to power on your whole drone and start burning your battery up. And it lets you get your GPS fix kind of jump started. But the other thing it does is it can also integrate with, now there's two ways to go down this path. There's two branches. The ELRS just came out with a new version that supports GPS, basically like lost GPS mode, where if you lose your drone and it still has the battery, instead of just like the ELRS find script, there you can actually have it set up to transmit through telemetry to your radio what's going on, even if it's not flying and even if it's like ejected the battery, because it has a battery that will last, for a few hours at least, transmitting through your ELRS transmit or the transmitter part of your receiver. So that when you put a receiver on your drone, part of what you're getting is a little tiny transmitter, and it can power that to send telemetry, including your GPS coordinates. So if you just get close enough to get a signal, you can find it. Boat prescription. Hey Vessel, welcome to the stream. Hey Metalcraft, welcome. Hey Metalcraft Jr., welcome. Let's see. So if you're on the TBS Crossfire side of the house, which I started there because my buddy that got me in, he had been in drones for like 7 or 8 years. He's been in close to 10 now, and he said TBS never let him down. TBS Crossfire is the way to go. And before ELRS became so well developed and so well rounded, it was 100% the only way to go. The other modes are just not up to speed. The Free Sky, Fly Sky, some of those AM FM radios from like when I was a kid and just flew a Futaba. So, but TBS has built into their TBS Crossfire GPS. Let's just see what we get from that. So yeah, there's built into, if you've ever looked at a TBS Crossfire module, we don't want the radio transmitter, we want the receiver. Yeah, so let's find like this one right here. Diversity Nano Long Range Drone Receiver. So it's $50, and that's what got just too expensive for me. And I went to ELRS and sold all my stuff. But see how there's like a lot of pins along here? Like there's way more pins than you would think you would need on a receiver. Well, some of these pins can be used to hook up your GPS. And so like see here, it has SCL, serial clock line, and serial data I don't know what A means. You can put the backup battery on here with a ground and battery. So this gives you the ability to do a whole lot more on here than just be a receiver. It can completely lose the main battery connection and then use this backup battery to send telemetry to your radio. And my first original Falcon Rad RPM or Lion, whatever it is, whatever this is from Falcon Rad, my first long range drone that I made with this, it had TBS on there, and I had uh, a problem with my barometer. I was trying to fix it, and I flew up at my regular spot up this mesa and got confused of where I was. I saw some some buildings down below and headed towards them, and it wasn't mine. It wasn't where I was. It was around the corner. And as soon as I lost line of sight, lost telemetry, I was at 50 hertz, but 50 hertz won't penetrate through a mountain. And so it went into rescue mode, had GPS on it, but here's the problem. And this is another lesson learned. You can learn from the guy who lost $1,000 drone. The barometer went bad. And I saw it when I first took off because I had on my OSD, I had my elevation, and it was going from positive to negative to all over the place. Just crazy, 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 crazy. And so when I fail safed, one of the there's like a process that your Betaflight goes through, and one of the first things it does is what's my elevation and what's my setting for how many meters or feet above that do I go before I start returning home. And when it starts reading that data and it's getting constantly changing negative, positive values all over the place, it doesn't know, it never gets past that step. And so it went down somewhere around the corner of the mountain from me. And it's that sickening feeling where you just put $1,000 in a shredder in front of your face and watched it just get lit on fire. And I'm like, we got to go. And so we took off. We went everywhere. I put my transmitter, my 900 megahertz. Let's see, I had this one, the TX Lite, and it has like a find receiver mode on here. So I put it in that and just tried as hard as I could. We drove all over. We drove all the roads. A lot of it was on private property and had gates that were locked and we couldn't get on it. So I think it ended up somewhere in there, but I never found it. So this is my replacement. I do like the quality of TBS stuff, but towards the end there, I was starting to have some issues with my TBS receivers not working. And when you drop $50 a piece on those and they don't work, you get to a point where you're just like, ugh, you know? And then you keep seeing all the ads for the ELRS ones that are super cheap. And you're like, yeah, I think I'm going to go with ELRS. So that's what happened. My GX12 has been fully revamped with the new software. Hopefully this works because I've had multiple times where it's failed me. I look forward to seeing and hearing about Great Scott's trip to the Mears store and restaurant and eating a Mears burger. Now, here's one thing to know: like the is eclecticity a word? Eclecticness of this restaurant is that they serve longhorn beef. Well, longhorn beef is more lean than chicken. So it's very, 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 very lean, but it's flavorful, and that's what you get. So just get a good burger from there, and the bread is worth it. The ambiance is worth it. Uh, Hopefully it doesn't rain. You're not stuck outside. And then while you're there, go to the top of Mount Scott. Go to the let's see, if you want to get a hike in, there's a really beautiful summit that's in the same uh, nature area, preserve, whatever it is, that, let's see, maps. Let's go back over there and I'll show you. Yeah, yep, there's a longhorn on the wall. The longhorns that you're eating are the ones you pass going to the store. So, like, you talk about like farm to table. It's you're and like the bread is made there next door. All right, let's go to Mears, Oklahoma. All right, let's look at it like that. Yeah. All right. So if you come in on 115 through here from which you wouldn't because you'll be coming from the northeast, but you'll leave through 115 through here. This is going through like a little mountain canyon right here, which is pretty cool. And then you get down to, they have a prairie dog town that's kind of neat. Like this whole area, there's just like tons of prairie dogs. And then if you go over this way, come on, show me the mountain names. Where's the mountain names here? So I think that's probably one of them. Yeah, that's probably one of them right there. Rush Lake. Scott's like overjoyed that there's a mountain named after him there. So anyway, somewhere along here, along this road, there is a trail. And maybe we turn on biking. More. I wish they had the names of the mountains here. They're not showing any of the trails or anything. But anyway, there's a, you know what? Let's see if we can find Flickr ODL. No, idiot. I don't want that one. Why are you not showing me? Let's see if we can find it. Let's do this. Log in. It's the right password saved. We will see. Review my photos. Okay, albums. All right, let's go back over here. Let's go to albums. Come on, go to albums. Maybe it won't let me. All right. Guys, I know like a lot of YouTube and FPV love marijuana. Can you imagine driving to your house and at the end of the street you've got a marijuana bust out of the It's in the house in the neighborhood next to mine, but check out the amount of marijuana that they pulled out of the basement of this place. It was owned by the Chinese mafia. And there was a DEA agent walking down the street. Yep, there she was. Isn't that crazy? All right. We got to go way back in time. Thought I would have it on here. Guess not. Well, I had a bunch of Summits on the Air stuff from here. And maybe it's going back further. Oh, yeah, here we go. This is like from years ago. I ran into Mitt Romney one year at the airport. That was wild. Used to work at Yahoo. Yeah, Elk Mountain. There it is. So here you go. This is where you also, if you like to hike, it's great Scott. They that's Elk Mountain from the bottom, and you go over. Oh, there's a really well maintained trail. Check out this trail. That's my buddy that we hiked up there. That's me back when I was super fat, but I still hiked a lot. I was fat but younger. What's better, to be fat and young or older and skinnier? I don't know. But look at this trail, man. It's like a really nice trail. And then here's a landscape photo from the top of it. Isn't that beautiful? Just really interesting. Really interesting, I think. And it's only like, I don't even think it's a whole 2 miles. I think it's like 1.8 miles or something. And I mean, you think of Oklahoma as being flat, but look at that. That's like got lots of character. And dude, I would have so much fun flying that with a drone. Like, I wish I would have, I mean, if I would have known about them back then, they probably wouldn't have been good enough to do what I do now. It's still kind of cool though. I think I need to go back there sometime and fly that. So Elk Mountain, it's right down the place from Mears. Totally worth it. Amazing views. Get you some exercise. Let's see. My Soda Adventures. There's also some places like this is in Oklahoma as well. This one is called King Mountain. And look how fat I am. Dude, I look like Stay Puft Marshmallow. Like I've been overinflated. That was in, this one was in South Lake Tahoe. Went to see a buddy of mine. I was dying. This was a massive, crazy, huge mountain. Well, that one isn't. That's Cristo del Rey. That one, that's an interesting one. That one is in New Mexico, but it's underneath the tip of Texas. So there's actually a little spot where New Mexico curves around and gives a little tickle to Texas. See this this like line that comes here and then kind of goes underneath and around, and then it goes straight across. So that's the Rio Grande River right there that's making this weird stuff. But then right here, there's my picture. It's like on top of this, it's not flat. There's this big mountain there. And then let's see, what's going on? Dude, you lived in Tahoe for 16 years. That's amazing. That's a beautiful town. And that lake, man, holy cow. And then here's Mount Capuan. Um, this is on Pikes Peak. I was there with the guy we call the Goat Man. His call sign is WG0AT, which spells W goat. And he has goats, and they're his hiking buddies, and he goes hiking up these mountains here in Colorado with his goats, and that's him. He lives at the base of a mountain right behind him called Mount Herman. Let's see. You guys that know me know that I'm a little bit of a character. So that's me with my brother in El Paso before we hiked up Mount Franklin. And now you get to see what I look like in a thong. This is at the top of that Mount Cristo del Rey. So this is in New Mexico, but behind me and above me are the Franklin Mountains, which are in Texas. So I'm in New Mexico, but directly north of me is Texas. And, you're supposed to have your ham radio license in the US to use this stuff anyway. Just get it. It's easy. 8-year-olds get it. I dare. I'm putting this out there. I dare Metalcraft Jr. I dare you to get your technician ham radio license before your parents. You can do it. I know you can't. You're a smart dude. And they give you all the questions. They give you all the answers to study. And then you can take practice tests. And once you pass the practice test, you're good. Hamstudy.org. Click on Technician, Study Mode, Continue as Guest if you don't want to sign in. And here we go. What does the abbreviation FET stand for? Field Effect Transistor. And then if you want an explanation, you can click that and it tells you. So it's a great metal had his before he got a drone. Well, that's cool. So now I dare you to get it before your mom. Yeah. What about that, Raya? What about that? But then you can go join the crazies like me that do soda. Summits on the Air. And it's a cool little activity that you can figure out really neat places to go that aren't camping spots, so no one else is necessarily going to be there. And let's go to W5, which is Colorado. W5. Let's just do Oklahoma. There's W5 Oklahoma. So here's all of the mountains in Oklahoma are kind of in the central area to the east. And you can just keep diving in here. There's better. Oh yeah, totally a McShaky challenge. I challenge Metalcraft Jr. to get his technician ham radio license before Mrs. Metalcraft. That's the challenge. My wife has her technician. My son has his technician. I have an amateur extra because I didn't even really have to study. It wasn't that hard for me because that's what I did in the military was communications, and they taught us RF and signals and all that kind of stuff. So I already knew it. I just didn't know about ham radio until my friend of mine told me about it. But yeah, and then You go on here and Soda Watch tells you who's activating. And Mr. Bebo178, if you're still there, the UK is where they started this. They started this program in the UK. And so as you can see, there, like right now, there's people in Japan activating summits. That's what JA stands for. W6 is California. So as the sun moves, you'll generally see the activations move with the sun, and it's a worldwide thing. And you can do Morse code, you can do FM radio on your VHF. Like the cool thing about being on the top of a mountain is you don't need to be up high with your antenna because you are up high. You're just standing up on top of a mountain. And so it's a neat little spin-off. And then the other thing is, once you're on a mountain, bring your drone and do some amazing drone shots. Yeah, that's what I need to do more of, actually, is do the two together more. Dude, yeah, Mount Washington. Let's look it up. Summit listing. A summit code, summit name. There's going to be a ton of them called Mount Washington. Not too many. So I believe this is the one you're talking about. Because I believe you're talking about the New Hampshire Appalachians. And then here's all the people who've done it, who actually wrote up how to do it. Tough hike up, absolutely beautiful. Let's look at that one. Mount Washington. So look at that, man. That's beautiful. Look at that. Elevation gain is 4,000 feet. $5 permit. Permit. I mean, wow, look at that. That is beautiful. That looks steep too. Hey, that's so steep they gave you a ladder. That's kind of cool. Trees start to thin out. That's pretty high if the trees start thinning out. There's a mountain lake. Bring you some pills to put in the water and get you some more water, so you're not hiking all your water up there. Or bring a filter. Hey, it looks like they have a cog railway going up there. Or did at one point. There's a cog railway that goes up to the top of Pikes Peak. That's why I know about that. Yeah, so they were activating on 40 meters, which is 7 megahertz, and 20 meters, which is 14 megahertz, but it's all single sideband. So if you just have a general license, you could do that, or you can just bring a what's called a handy talkie or a HT and do 2 meters or 70 centimeters and get some contacts. So the way SOTA works is if you get 4 contacts, you talk to 4 different people, you get the points for that summit. So it's a game. It's the gamification of ham radio. And it is so much fun. Once you activate 1,000 points worth of summits, you get something that very few people in the world have. You can have one. I have one. It is a crystalline, it's actually acrylic block that looks like a chip of ice, and it's made in the Highlands of Scotland, and it's your trophy that you can buy to show that you are a SOTA mountain goat. And to achieve mountain goat status, you have to get 1,000 points of activating summits. And it's got a few rules, but they're pretty easy. So you can't, if let's say you live right behind a mountain. I have a friend in San Francisco. He lives very close to a 1-point mountain, And there are months where he goes up that mountain sometimes more than once a day. So you think, wow, he just eats up the points. Nope, because you can only activate a mountain for its points once per year. And then at the rollover of the year, you can activate it again, but only once that year. So why is he hiking up this mountain every day, multiple times a day? Because there's not just activator points. There's multiple types of points. So there's chaser points. So you can get another trophy if you sit at home and wait for these people that are spotting. See these latest soda spots? So if you know Morse code, you could turn to 7.003 and see if you have an antenna for 40 meters, listen for JR7 CVG / stroke 7 or /7 on whatever that mountain is. Let's see what that mountain is. So this guy right now is standing right there, which that in itself is pretty cool, right? That you can look and see where someone is standing in the world right now. Let's jump out and see where he is in the world. So that's where he is in Japan. So he's north of Tokyo on a mountain right there. And he's on frequency right now. And you can tune there. And if you get you don't have to know Morse code too. Like there's some people who've figured out how to use the Morse code decoders so that you can get them on your phone, you can get them different places, hardware based, computer based, all kinds, and they will listen and decode the Morse code, and then you can have your computer send Morse code for you too. And yeah, exactly. Hey, welcome, Warn Up. I didn't know you were out there. So that's just two of the ways. So you can do Soda Goat activating summits, and you can do Shack Sloth, which is when you chase 1,000 points. And then you've got let's see. Let's look up logs. Yeah, let's log in. You guys can see where I'm at. I didn't put my last activation in. I need to do that. I went to a thing called the W0C Soda Campout 2025. And you guys saw some of my video from it. It's when the fall leaves were changing. And I was at that Mennonite camp. The guy that set it up for us, he knows the people there and got us, after their season had closed, he got them to open the camp for us to stay there. So that was pretty cool. But let's see. So there's we're talking about why would he go up a summit every day? Because he likes to get summit to summit. So see this S2S right there, S2S log. I don't have any in the last 6 months. Let's look at all entries. Show. So here is where I was on a summit, and like I was on Fairview Peak, and I was talking to KI4SVM, who was on Little Bald Knob and W4G. So that's probably Georgia. And then I was in Arkansas at Petite Jean Mountain working someone on Buckhorn Pete in W7I, so Idaho probably, and Utah. And so it's just, that's another one. So you can get awards for working someone else on a summit. So that's the main reason he goes multiple times a day, every day, so that he'll look at when someone posts that they're going to hike up a summit, he might not have a complete. Another one is complete. So complete is where you've activated a summit and you've chased someone on that summit. So Mount Davidson, that's the one in, looks like that's in North Carolina. So I did one called Mount Davidson, which means I activated it and I chased someone that was on that mountain. The chasing is where you get you're not in the activation zone. That's so there's times I've chased someone by walking down the mountain and getting out of the activation zone to then talk up to the guy at the top of the mountain that I was up there with. And then I would go back up and then he would go down and we would work each other. That way we get a soda complete where you've activated it and chased it both in one day. Sometimes you don't have someone you're with and you can't do that. And so I used to travel all over the country activating mountains. The last one I did was this. Actually, it's not the last one, but I did Mariah Benchmark. Last year. Let's see where it is. Oh, this is cool. I haven't seen this before. So this is from here in Colorado. That's where the summit is. And then these lines show all the people and where they were that chased me. So I activated it because I got more than 4 or more. And then the people that are chasing you, they don't have to get 4 or more. They just have to get you in the log and then they get your points. So Mariah Benchmark, I think it was like a 4-pointer. Let's see. Yep, 4 points. And I talked to someone near Kansas City, someone near Chicago, and then all along the West Coast, from Seattle all the way down to Oceanside near Los Angeles. So, and I did take some drone footage while I was on the top of that. Let's see if we can find that on my channel. Do I have Mariah? Not to be confused with Mariah, but Mariah, is your name really Mariah? You just go by Mariah? I have a feeling that's what it is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know if you were here when I had my blonde moment and I just figured out that the GX12 got the GX part from Gemini X. Okay. Oh, my head's starting to hurt. Let's see. Search. Mariah. Nope. Okay, let's do soda. SOTA. Yeah, so the Rocky Mountain Mennonite Camp, that's the videos where actually didn't activate any that time, but I did chase some guys. And then I've activated French Guiana. That was pretty cool. A lot of fun times with ham radio. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not on there. Playlists. Let's try. Do I have like a ham radio? I should. Matchtastic ham radio. I used to have a company called Ham Radio. Why am I not seeing the whole thing? Oh, wait, come on. I just want to see the playlist. I don't want to see. Oh, there it is. Okay. Maybe it needs more space. I don't know. YouTube keeps changing things, right? Field Day. Yeah, I was there for Field Day, I think. No, that was 2024. Apparently I didn't put this on there. Oh well. So yeah, I used to have a Mesh-tastic company where I made Mesh-tastic radios. Yet another fun technical diversion that I've been part of. So I think I'm gonna head out now. I think I need to eat and probably take a break because my brain is starting to hurt, and that's some of the stuff that I have to deal with from my traumatic brain injury from getting smashed in the back of the head. Hey, I want to see that video. Anybody not seen where I got smashed in the car? I have the oh, there's soda. I have a soda playlist. Welcome. Alpine Plateau. No, I don't have it on there. Let's see if we can find, where did I put my, it's probably, let me just do this real quick. Playlist. Um, I have a
We're popping back into the
Let's see what's in there. Did I put it in the private? Why am I not seeing my playlist? Um, Keto, that's not it. Colorado. Important videos, maybe important. Oh, I'm not clicking on view full playlist. That's what's happening. Let's see if it's under rec and not the FPV company. That's wrecked. Man, I'd have to look for it on my phone.
Hello,
Hello,
y'all.
y'all. Hello. Let's turn you off for a second. Let's see. No, I didn't put it in there. I did put the MRI of my brain where it showed the shearing. Shearing is when your head is moving extremely fast, like say 50 miles an hour, and then it stops very suddenly, and your brain shakes to the point that it pulls some of the neurons apart from each other. That's called what I have, and I can't think of the word now. I just said it. Anyway, I'm just like rambling now. So, you guys, thanks for joining me. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, you learned something about long range and how to fix your GX12 if you get one. If you do, now you can come back here. I will edit a video that breaks this down into just the few steps necessary to actually fix the GX12 because they ship it all jacked up. Not their fault. EdgeTX is the culprit, and EdgeTX has worked with Radiomaster and come up with a great fix, hopefully. Speaking of great, always a pleasure to see you, Great Scott. Thank you. Great Scott is our current multimillionaire, I think, because he's been on the inside knowledge of where silver has been heading for so long that I think his whole house is plated in silver. So he's just got all the silver. It's probably because of him that it's going up because he owns all the silver. No one else has any silver because Great Scott owns all the silver. 8313. That is ridiculous. I have some silver. Maybe I should sell it. I think Great Scott says don't sell. He's a holder. HOLDR. I can tell that. That's cool, man. I'm happy for you. Keep streaming about it. And I was telling someone just the other day about that credit card that you talked about. I need to get one of those where I can just put gold on it and spend it in fractions. That sounds like an amazing way to do stuff, especially as the dollar becomes more and more destabilized, which looks like we're heading towards a yeah. If you want to post your link to your referral code, whatever it is, go for it. Put it in there. I don't mind. Self promote yourself. Great. And you guys go check out Great Scott's YouTube channel. He's got a lot of good information. He's very soft spoken. He kind of talks like this. Oh, let me make you a mod. Hold on. I can do that. I can do that. Add as moderator. You have the power. I'm gonna do that for see if I can do that for some other people too. Add as moderator. Let's see, is add as moderator. See, all the cool kids who stayed late are getting all the cool jam. Yep, there's his channel. And pinning that to the top. And then what else we got? What else we got? Great Scott. Great Scott. This is kind of how Great Scott talks about things when on his channel. So go to his channel and you'll see he's got some really good information. You may have to turn your volume up a little bit, but it's okay. Because he doesn't get all crazy like me and start just McShaking everybody. Like this! You got McShaky. Gold. Glint spends your gold. Yep, that's really amazing. Yeah, I was talking to my neighbor actually, and he's like, "Oh, it's too hard. Where do you sell your stuff?" I was like, "Dude, I don't go anywhere to sell my stuff. I can get it shipped to me if I want, but why would I do that? I use something called, where's my cell phone? Having brain injury sucks, man. It sucks. You just can't remember stuff. You forget stuff. What is it called? Let's just look for gold. Maybe it's smart enough to. No. Let me look in my finance. Maybe it's in finance. Oh, there it is. OwnX. OWNX. That's what I use. They have a they have storage. You buy it at market rate, and they have a veteran discount. So it spends, or you can sell it, and it immediately goes to cash status because they actually sell it, and then you can transfer it. And I've had it transfer same day before because they use an ETF to move it to your bank, and you can only have one bank, but and they keep it pretty secure. You can't just go making changes willy-nilly all the time. And then if you ever want the gold or silver or platinum, they'll ship it to you. And you can buy fractional, you can buy, whatever, you can, but it's in weight is how you buy it. So you're not actually buying like a Cougarand or something like that. You're buying the weight, and then I don't know how they ship it to you because I've never had it shipped to me because I just buy and sell it. Lately, I've needed to sell everything I had because job issues and workers' comp doesn't pay what I make. So, do what you got to do. But there, you guys got some extra stuff to learn about from Great Scott. Go to his channel. I'm actually a member of his channel. You can become a member. And yeah. So Great Scott, Warn Up is asking if it'll change to the local currency if you're traveling. I have no idea. I'd probably go to go to Infinity Loops Discord and chat up Great Scott. Or you can join mine. Let's see. I need to plug my own stuff. McShaky server. Invite. Copy. All right. If you're not a member of my Discord, here's the link to join. And the most activity we have on there is in the crazy meme department, where inappropriate memes, and we throw everyone under the bus there. It's a lot of political stuff, but we throw Republicans, Democrats, anarchists, independents, normies, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's, the whole point is just to be inappropriate, because I don't care. I don't care what you put in there, as long as it's not going to send anybody to, jail. We don't want to go on. We don't want to send anything that's just inappropriate, not illegal. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to jump off. See you guys later. Appreciate you stopping by. Love you. Bye.